to the Torq Hub PODCAST. Find us on all your favourite podcast platforms or watch us on YouTube.
Hey,
What's going on, mate?
man, how quick is time going? We figured we should probably get this month's podcast done before the end of the month.
That'd be ideal.
Cutting it fine, but here we are. And we got comfier chairs this time.
Yeah, yours looks gorgeous too.
Isn't it? It's plush pink.
Yeah.
So before in the shed, we were just using these little fold-out chairs, which are probably great if you're just sitting down for a couple of minutes or
Yeah,
whatever.
10 minutes max.
But when you're sitting down for an hour and a half for a potty, not ideal.
No, not great.
So we've I've gone into the office. I've grabbed my computer chair, my wife's computer chair. She's got the black one, obviously.
Obviously.
But yeah, this will be a little bit nicer, a little bit more enjoyable for the stretch.
That's it. Moving up in what, episode 7?
This is episode 6.
6?
Yeah.
Jeez, now I'm getting
Podcast
ahead of
6.
us. Yeah, right. Cool.
We're getting there. 7, that's coming.
Yeah, 7's next month, which is in what, 2 days, 1 day?
Yeah, that's it. Hopefully we won't make you wait so long next time in between potties.
Yes.
But we did take a break. Obviously, we hit it pretty hard at the start of the year. And we took a little bit of a rest because, well, basically there wasn't much going on at the same time. We're kind of in between projects to a point where collecting parts, obviously, for our VYU. We're getting some stuff in for that. But we do have another 2 projects sort of lined up. And we're just sort of in a lull period. We're just about to get kicking off on that. And it looks like you've done yourself a bit of a mischief, mate.
Oh, yeah. Little workplace incident there, broke my hand. So I don't think it's ever a good time to break a hand, I've realised. Like, I've been telling everyone, look, not a good time. There's never a good time.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever plan, what, September would be a good month for that.
I reckon if I was going to plan it, I definitely could have planned a better time. But anyway,
Yeah,
never been much of a planner.
no. So it's going to be a little bit tough for you to hang off the end of a grinder or a TIG wand or whatever for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I could obviously step up and be a bit more of an apprentice, but the next project is very heavy on the custom fabrication.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all we're going to be doing on it is custom fabrication.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll probably get that in this, like this week or maybe next week or something like that.
Yeah.
Get it in and have a look and start doing a bit of brainstorming.
Well, we need to order some
more
bends. Yeah, we need to order some bends and stuff like that and before we can really kick off. But we will film a video introducing it. It's actually a project that I started a long time ago.
A very long time ago.
Yeah, it's been too long and we're going to get it in. So that's going to be cool.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be good.
What else have we done since the last potty? It's been a while. So, the No Prep King stuff's been gone.
Yeah, it was sort of like the last podcast was at the start.
Right as it was kicking off, yeah.
So,
those guys are back in America now, so it's all well and truly over.
Yeah.
I'm
sure if we had have like really, really been diehard fans of the whole sort of show and everything like that, like we don't watch all the shows or anything, we could have probably capitalised and got a few more views, but I like where we viewed it from, so
yeah, I think
good.
so too.
And I thought it was good.
Yeah, we're not going to make a video for video's sake.
Nah,
at the end of the day,
I'm not interested in talking about all the different people and like all the nothingness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just sort of care about the overall factor of it, I guess, and what it stirred up in our country at least. And I thought it was good. My favourite part of the whole thing, I reckon, on internet-wise, I'm in internet land right now.
Yeah.
Was Corey Swanstrom, man. He's my favourite.
big country.
Big country. He knows how to talk shit with the best of them.
Yeah.
And it was really good. I enjoyed watching him.
That was entertaining.
He was probably the most active guy in the group as far as sort of anybody's are concerned, There was way too many nobodies in there and, voicing opinions that probably really didn't need to be heard, in all honesty. But
Yeah.
it was good. I enjoyed seeing him and some of the other guys' stuff as well. So it was good. That was in internet land anyway.
Yeah, just quietly, we copped a warning for posting too much in there, even though I felt like we were pretty well on topic.
Yeah.
It came across to one administrator that we were just trying to self-promote.
Yeah.
Even though at no point, except for one post we shared our video
which
for testing.
which was like 100% relevant.
And it was before anyone landed. And then after that, we were just finding other posts that we'd found online and sharing it to the group, not from our page. We weren't telling anyone to go to our page or subscribe to our channel or anything. But old mate
You're
just...
a fucking view thief, Jeff.
He
mate.
just
That's
didn't
what it
like
is,
us.
This is my time to shine. Probably a good fella, but maybe just misread what you were going for. But whatever. We just gapped it after that, didn't we? When I say we, I really mean mainly you, but yeah.
Well, I mean, we were still reading and commenting and liking and whatever. We just didn't contribute any further.
Yeah, rising tide doesn't float all boats, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, well, whatever.
You get that.
Yeah, you get that.
That's internet land, eh?
I think there was some mixed reactions on people that actually went. I think some people were actually expecting they were going to a race. I think people sort of forgot that they were actually going to watch the filming of a TV show. So there was a lot of commentary about, particularly when they were doing the, say, quote unquote shit talking, the bartering, the negotiations for stipulations of the race and stuff, how that would go for 2 hours. You know, like, I need the back tire and I need the hit and this and that.
The drama.
And, all that sort of stuff that you need for the TV show. People are like, oh, come on, let's just race. It's like, man, I think you've kind of forgot what it was that you were going to.
Yeah. Well, it's nothing like this has ever been done before, so you never really know what you're...
Yeah.
If maybe people thought they were going to do a better job of trying to keep everyone entertained while they were doing that, and they probably could have done that. Maybe the only thing I can think of is like the noise side of things. Like, obviously you can't have other racing going on if they're like at the start line trying to do their shit talking and deals and all that sort of stuff. And so I guess that would probably be a noise factor that would stop that. Otherwise you could just have other cars running or I don't know, stunt shows or whatever, something, to give someone a bit of value for the money that was spent.
Some people probably would have wanted to sit there and watch the negotiation stuff, but others probably just wanted a bit more action.
Yeah. Because we didn't go, it's kind of hard. I don't want to talk about it
no, that's right,
too much because we weren't there, so we really...
second-hand opinions. But, I mean, obviously, we watch live streams and we've sort of seen there's enough angles, from here, there and everywhere where you can kind of form somewhat of an opinion. But, without actually being there, feet on the ground, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But our good friends from Black Magic, they went and represented Connor. What a legend. Wearing the Torq Hub shirt throughout filming.
Yeah.
What a legend.
Yeah, representing all the guys, yeah.
Shout out to you, Connor Begley.
Thank
well
you.
done. Thanks, man. And thanks to the rest of the Black Magic team. In the grudge race, he got beaten by Murder Nova, but then copped a rematch in the eliminations and put him on the trailer.
Yeah.
Gave him
That's
the gap.
like a David versus Goliath moment, really, isn't it?
Well, we're talking like a 3,000 horsepower Proline Hemi, Pro Charger setup in a very well sorted car. Obviously, the chassis that Black Magic have put in that Tirana is very good, but it's still a stock block, stock crank LS with a big turbo.
Very
on
basic combo. Something that you'd see in plenty of like late model Commodores of people just cruising around on the street, really.
That's right.
Besides the fact that, it's on methanol and all that kind of stuff, but as far as hardware is concerned, nothing too crazy, nothing too race car.
No, it was pretty good to see them go out and serve it to the man.
Yeah, so that just makes the win that much sweeter, really. They never were meant to win.
Nah.
And the experience would have been great all the same, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So the fact to come through with a bit of a moment, that's unreal, really.
Yeah, I agree.
Great for the whole team to experience.
As soon as they cross the finish line, though, they're back. They're in the pits, and they've put Nova Murderer?
Yes.
Sticker on the back.
Yeah. Very, very cool.
Cheeky dogs.
Yeah.
Then out into round 2, lost to Kai Kelly, unfortunately. But that's racing. That's why they don't call it winning.
Yeah.
And Kai Kelly is a weapon.
Yeah, I mean, they all are. I think everyone now that they've been and gone, figured out where maybe you need to be. And
isn't it crazy? Before the whole thing started, everyone was sort of complaining like, oh, they're not even bringing the real cars. They're bringing their slow cars and whatever. And these slow cars still.
Yeah, well,
it's
they're
fair
not
to say
slow.
they pumped us.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I'm sure most, if not all, enjoyed every bit of it anyway, you know?
That's it.
Yeah.
But-
It'd be a good learning experience for if they come back again, you sort of know a bit more of what you're into. These guys do this day in, day out, so they should have won, and good on them.
Yeah.
I think they were really good about it too, like,
Oh yeah.
you know. But I think once they realised sort of where most of the races were sort of at calibre-wise, they sort of started giving a little more,
Yeah.
you know, to try and make it interesting or whatever. Like,
Well, they got to make a show out of it.
yeah.
So.
Oh, and not to mention, like, no one wants to go around puppy kicking. Like, there's no pride in that. So
No. What about the future for no prep racing in Australia? Do you think that's sort of going to spark a bit more interest? Do you think we're going to see more? Obviously, I think in Queensland, was it Junga Bunga? Matt Junga?
yeah. He had the Red Toronto, I think it was.
He did have a Toronto, yeah. I think he already does some no prep stuff there in Queensland.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see if we see some more of that happening in Australia now that the show's been and gone.
Yeah.
And, you know, with the potential for them to come back, will these people keep developing that program with their car, or are they just going to go back, put radials back on and that's it?
Yeah. Probably depends. I don't know. It might depend at what the tracks are like where they are, you know, because some tracks are really good, like, and the guys there probably just prefer to stick a radial on and just go faster, you know, with what they've got. But maybe some of the more country type tracks that are never going to be that great, maybe they'll be able to start their own little thing and just have slicks on and see where it goes. Maybe
might develop a new niche. Maybe.
Yeah. I think if they knew for sure that they were coming back next year, like, you would guarantee it. But whether it's a one and done deal, you know.
Yeah. So after it was all done in Perth, obviously in the probably 2 weeks leading up to the event, you and I both realised that we weren't going to get there. Circumstances just didn't work for us, work rosters and all that sort of stuff. It's just like, unfortunately, we're going to miss out this time.
Yeah, and missed out we did.
Yeah, absolutely. But big shout out to Black Magic Race Cars, Jeff, Sandra, Lauren. They invited us around.
Yep.
We went to Black Magic HQ and hung out there, and they sort of gave us the big lowdown and shared their story and sort of, they made us feel a part of it.
Yeah,
which
I was going to say they probably made us feel like family, really. Just awesome people all around. I really enjoyed it. It was good. We were there for probably, I don't know, maybe 5 hours or something like that.
Oh, probably a lot longer than we should have been.
Probably. And it felt like we were only there for like an hour. You know how it is when you're just yarning. So it was really good.
And it's another story of how, like, what we're doing here, whether it be the videos or the podcast, in this case it was the podcast, you know, we've now introduced ourselves to people who we never would have before, and, you know, made some good friends out of it.
Yeah.
Which
and
is
it all
awesome.
just started from, you know, one little thing that we said on here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So shout out to you guys. Thanks for inviting us around and giving us the tour and allowing us to talk your ear off for a couple of hours.
Yeah, no, it was good. We'll have to do it again.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. We should kick off with the more official business. Let's get stuck into this week's hot topic, or this month's hot topic.
This week's hot topic.
That's hot.
Yeah. So, we were just talking before air, new in muscle cars.
Oh, yes. What is it? The Dodge?
It's a long name.
It's a long name, and I've already fucked up the whole Dodge thing once before, or that whole kind of genre in a
So
way.
it's a Dodge Challenger SRT Demon 170.
There you go. You got it. And for those of you that don't know, it's their latest thing they've brought out. It makes 1,025 horsepower
On E85.
on E85.
Yeah.
And what does it do? 0 to 60 in 1.66. I don't know if anyone cares about that, but it's 891 at 151 miles an hour. And you can buy that.
With a warranty.
Off the showroom floor. Now, we say some people shouldn't be allowed to buy toolboxes. How many of these things do you think are going to not even make the 1 week mark before they're bent around something that they shouldn't be?
Yeah, probably someone with more dollars than cents and they're going to want one just because.
Who wouldn't want one? I want one.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, I wonder if those people have already gotten a Hellcat with the Demon package and already ruined one of those.
Yeah. Probably.
But how's that though? An 8-second production car. I think, what was it? They're going to make 3,000 of them, which was the same as the Demon. They're going to make 3,000 in the US plus another 300 for Canada. I dare say some of those will end up outside of there.
Sure.
People will buy them and,
Yeah.
they'll get shipped out here, there and everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's the production numbers. To go, what was the mile an hour? 891?
151, I think it was.
That's pretty stout.
Oh, that's out of control.
Yeah.
Really. For something that someone can buy, because,
Yeah.
a lot of the time if you're building a car, you're probably going to creep up on it
Yeah.
a bit more, more progressively.
Yeah. I mean, it comes...
That's easy come, easy go, man. If you've got a decent job or whatever, a really good job, I'm assuming. I don't know how much they are, but I'm sure they're not cheap.
No.
And you just get yourself some finance,
Well, I mean, you think, what's a Ram TRX is like 250 grand Australian. So you'd have to think it'd be roughly the same as that, at least.
Oh, yeah, you would think so.
Yeah.
Everything, once it comes over here, is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
over there, it's probably like 100 and something.
Yeah. But I mean, it's, 1,020-something horsepower on E85. It's flex fuel, though. You can bang some unleaded in there. It'll probably make,
Put mold juice on it. And
850 or whatever.
And still make enough to hurt yourself.
Yeah. 315 radial, straight from the factory set up. I think it had a full-size front tyre, though. So when you bought the Demon and you bought the $1 drag pack, that had the fats and skinnies in it, so that would run a 9 when you put all of the extra stuff on it. Whereas this here is 891 as it stands.
Yeah, when the ethanol content sensor is reading over 60% or whatever it needs to get that full squeeze out of it.
Yeah, yeah, it's
pretty cool, man.
Absolutely, yeah, I think so. And you're probably, as we're sort of tapering towards the end of this era, I guess, of muscle cars, we're probably going to see Ford and Chevy doing similar things, bringing out these, I guess you'd call them like a last hurrah before they start moving towards maybe a hybrid performance car.
Maybe. I don't know. Dodge always seem to just swing for it, eh?
They just go...
They're definitely the cool kid of the class, eh?
Yeah, they just go, what are we going to do next? Well, we've still got heaps of these like Hellcat crate motors. Maybe we just bang that in a minivan.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like those people over there. They're my kind of people.
Yeah, yeah, you can definitely tell that they're a board full of car people. Like when you go into a board meeting, I could picture them in flannels and jeans, whereas like you go to Chevy or something, there's suits. There's suits everywhere.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But you go into like a Dodge meeting and they're probably like playing Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Not a bean counter to be found.
No.
He's just in the corner quivering, eh?
Yeah, they just got to find some way of making enough money to get it happening.
Yeah.
Good on.
So it's pretty cool. It's still cool to see stuff like that in this day and age happening.
Yeah.
Because it's quite rare, really.
Yeah.
Everything like that sort of getting shut down in one way or another. So
yeah, well, we don't have any of our own anymore, obviously. The Falcon stopped in 2016. The Commodore finished in 2017. So, I mean, yeah, we're looking at like 6-7 years of none of that here already. And how fast has that gone?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. And nothing really that great's popped up to sort of replace it either, I don't think.
Not particularly, no. And, even though they've still got some of it overseas, like, it's very hard to get some of that stuff here. So I think it's been good for, like we've said before, the Holden 5-litre parts, and they're starting to have a bit of a resurgence. People are doing more research and development and producing bits and pieces which they weren't before, and that's why, because there isn't a new market to be continually trying to tap into. They're like, okay, now we've got to go back to the drawing board and try and, not reinvent the wheel, but let's just keep improving on what we already had.
Yeah.
And that nostalgia and that sentimental value is just going to keep going up and up and up.
Yeah. It would have been really good if Holden had stayed, like instead of transferring to the LS platform, maybe when they did, it would have been good if we got another 5 or 10 years out of the Holden platform. It'd be so, I mean, I know they were talking about like the
Overhead
cam or stuff and all that sort of stuff. That probably wouldn't have done much for me, but I don't know, it would have been cool to see where it might have led, you know, because there's a lot of good engineering that goes on in Australia, so who knows what we would have got, but
for sure.
But anyway, here we are. So, and the LS is it's still here, alive and well.
Yeah. Living the dream.
Yes.
That's about it for the hot topic, I think.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the next little segment.
Marketplace morons.
Tell him he's dreaming.
Marketplace morons. Have you spent much time on Marketplace lately?
No.
I have on and off. I haven't seen any major morons lately, though.
No.
It seems to have died off a little bit.
Oh, it's 100% died off.
Yeah.
And I could see it coming a mile away.
Yeah.
I've said it. It's probably on camera.
Yeah.
Or even on the podcast. It was always happening. It's gonna get a lot better or worse depending on who's buying and selling, I think.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Although I did see a crate engine, an LSA crate engine for $24,500. Can you remember, you were this close to buying one?
I was.
When you could buy one for under 10 grand.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at one point they were like around 9 grand, like 8, 9 grand. This would have been probably like coming up 8-ish years ago, 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
It'd have to be around then.
Yeah.
7, about that. And yeah, I think, I can't remember who was selling, whether it was Holden like direct or like Holmart or whoever it was, but I was like, well, I could buy that. I would have always ripped the supercharger off, and done like a turbo setup on that, and it would have been done a long time ago, and it would have been a lot easier.
Yeah.
And it would make a hell of a lot more power than what mine will make once I've finally got the other motor in there. But anyway,
yeah.
The easy button, as they call it.
Yeah. I think it was Hallmark. They were doing for about $8,700. I think then a little bit later, Active Automotive bought a whole bunch of them, and I think you could buy a drop-in crate setup for about $9,600 from memory.
Yeah.
I think the auto and the manuals were slightly different price because obviously they got different sort of flex plate setups and whatever.
Yeah.
I think, are the cranks different?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I do remember the crank pattern being different to the other ones, though. I think I could be wrong. We're definitely not the best people to be talking.
I'm certain. Yeah, I'm not an encyclopedia.
No, not on that stuff.
But I just it just sort of made me think, like, to see them now at $24,500, and I've made mention to a couple of friends of ours, like Mick in particular. If you can still get a Godzilla, like a Ford 7.3, what is it? 7.3 Godzilla for like 15 grand delivered.
Yeah.
If you're interested in one, even if you don't have a use for it yet, probably look at buying one soon because they're not going to be that price for long.
No.
You know, like we already know that they have fantastic potential.
Yeah.
You know, really strong potential. Dandy engines running, what was it, 8.4s in a 4,000 pound XA with a Harrop blower on one. Cletus McFarlane in that Fox body, they've gone like 8. No, they've gone 7s.
Oh, yeah.
They've gone like well into the 7s on that was a rod and piston deal.
Yeah, I think Dandy's was as well, eh?
I think so, yeah. But, you know, to do rod and piston and go 7s, that's, you know.
Yeah, to have that cubic inch with even the stock bottom ends on those are still fairly stout. Like, you know, you put a good Harrop supercharger on it and, you know, make some mounts up and get some EFI on it and stuff like that. Like, you're back at that Dodge Demon territory or better. Like, for not a huge outlay, like pretty easy. You know, you're not sending blocks off and getting them decked and bloody, you know, tunnels done and 4-bolt cap conversion and rear seal conversions and, you know, bigger head studs and paying some bloke that knows the ins and outs of volumetric efficiency to do your heads so that they actually work because they're, you know, all that stuff's fun, but it all costs money and takes time as well. So
yeah, Ford's done all the hard work for you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. That's probably, I would love to do one of those.
Oh,
in all
yeah,
honesty.
absolutely.
Yeah.
If Ford Performance Australia, they got a spare one kicking around and they want to help a couple of battlers out, we'll find a car to put it in. Don't worry about that. We'll find something to put it in.
What would you put it in?
I'd almost put it in that blue VY Ute, honestly. If we got given one, I'd throw it in that.
Yeah?
Yeah, why not? A
Yeah, why
Godzilla-powered VY Storm. What do you reckon?
Look, I won't argue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it saves us buying a car.
Yeah. True that.
But also while I was scrolling Marketplace, I've noticed Prime Hydration everywhere, as far as the eye can see.
Man, I
So
am
it's,
so detached from this.
There's like an energy drink. Well, this is like, there's two. There's Prime Hydration and Prime Energy, and they're done by Logan Paul and KSI, which, to the best of my knowledge, they're just YouTubers turned boxers. Very good at marketing themselves, clearly. Lot of a strong following and a lot of money behind them. They've started rolling out these drinks. I think Woolworths has picked up a contract for Prime Hydration, which has, I think it's 10% coconut water in it or something. But all these teens are just flooding Woolies, getting all these drinks, and they're putting them up on Marketplace. I think I saw it was $4.50 at Woolworths. Now they're on Marketplace at like $10 for a 500ml bottle.
Is it like their take on like a Gatorade, is it?
I guess so, yeah. It's like
okay.
like a hydration energy drink type of deal.
I guess it doesn't really matter what the fuck it is it?
Nah.
Like kids are just going to want
Just
it
trying
or
to run with it, yeah. I think I read somewhere the Prime Energy has 6 times more caffeine than Coca-Cola.
Yeah, a lady was telling me that yesterday actually, because this is the first I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I did see one, I don't know if it was a meme or someone took a screenshot of some, I can only guess he's a drug addict at this point, but it was like an empty one for sale, and it was, I can't remember what he had on it, like $10, and it just had in the description, drank it.
Nice. Well, that was obviously probably just trying to take the piss out of these other dudes. So that wasn't really the story I was going to mention. That was just like the backstory. But there's one dude that's got this flavour that was the UK only or whatever. So he's obviously just come home from a holiday in England, and he's trying to sell them for $80 each.
For 500 mils.
Yeah. I was like, surely that's a piss take.
I hope he gets it.
Well, I don't know.
Because I know there's people out there that...
The ad said something like, selling fast, there's only 10 left or something. So obviously he's bought like a box of them.
Yeah.
But $80 each. It's like, you can't get this flavour here, blah,
Supply and
blah, blah.
demand, bro. It works out, eh? It is. That's the free market right there.
But that's
capitalist
also...
free market. I'm with it.
That'd be that, the hype train. Just sending it.
The lady I was talking to yesterday, she mentioned, the caffeine quantity or whatever, and apparently they weren't like, they got banned. So they've done something where the energy drink got banned in Australia.
Right.
Which, as soon as she told me that, I went, that is the fucking most perfect marketing thing you could ever have going.
Yeah.
A drink gets banned. So what they did is and this is probably 7th-hand information that I'm regurgitating into the internet right now, but basically they've been able to bring it over as like a pre-workout deal.
Right.
And that way, so now it's not banned anymore, but... these people aren't dumb, man. You would do that from the get-go.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? If something
Yeah.
gets banned, even if it never was banned, like, they're not dumb.
No.
People are just... I'm sure if something got banned and then they managed to get it in here, you're going to have more people wanting to get it, you know what I mean? So, good on them. Like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, I ain't with you, bro, but...
Yeah.
Good on you.
Yeah, I barely know who you are. I've heard the name Logan Paul.
Yeah, we've all seen him. And for all...
I don't know who this KSI fella is, though. Wouldn't even know what he looked like.
Yeah.
But I just sort of, when I Googled Prime, it came up Logan Paul, KSI.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, okay, cool. But $80 for 500 mils.
We've got to start somewhere, don't we?
That is a marketplace moron in my eyes. And then I saw one other one, but I'm convinced this one was a piss take. It was sent to me by our good boy Brad. And it's an engine stand. And you know, the engine stand, obviously it's upright with an outboard leg to balance the engine,
the front,
right? So the photo of it has the engine mounting part backwards. So where you...
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you've got the engine mounting part spun around, so where you would bolt the flex plates on the back,
Yeah.
right? And they've advertised it as engine stand, not compatible with my engine, keeps falling over.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a piss take.
It'd have to be, surely. I was like, no one's that dumb.
I think people are that dumb, but they wouldn't have made it to that point, I don't think. You wouldn't have made it to that point in your life where you buy an engine stand if you're that dumb, eh?
You reckon Darwinism would have kicked in by then?
Oh, I sure hope so, man.
Yeah.
Because you're taking people with you if you make it to that part of your
Oh,
life. Eh?
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you ain't getting invited anywhere. You're a hazard.
Yeah.
You're
yeah.
100%
Man,
hazard.
I've got
eh?
a saying that I use semi-frequently, and that's the gene pool needs more chlorine. You know, like... There's definitely times where I think to myself, man, this gene pool needs more
100%,
chlorine.
100% people aren't getting smarter. I promise you that. Like, I seen a meme once that said, like, back in the day, you know, in your user manual for your car, you'd show you how to adjust your tablets and stuff. Now it tells you not to drink the battery fluid. You know?
Yeah.
You know,
I saw
that's
that,
real.
yeah.
That's 100%
Yeah.
factual.
Yeah,
So,
you're right. Yeah, it'd show you how to rebuild. Like the owner's manual would show you how to change your points and set your valve clearances and stuff like that. Now it's just like,
Yeah.
no, couldn't trust anyone with that kind of thing.
Although drinking that battery fluid probably be the same as this. What is it? The Prime Energy. It'd probably be the same effect, you know. But you don't have to pay $80 for that. So who knows? Maybe we're the dummies.
Maybe we are. Maybe we are. Anyway, that's all I've got from Marketplace this time around. You got nothing to add?
No, I don't think so. I'm definitely on the back foot in that regard
Yep.
today. Yeah. So
That's all right. We'll move on.
that's enough anyway. That's enough.
You know what really grinds my gears? Running on the chip.
On the chip, powered by our boys at Reed Speed.
Yes. Representing your shirt. Good shirt too. Nice and comfy.
It is.
What
yeah.
I reckon though, and this I'm just throwing this straight out there, not even asking a bloke. I reckon we need, for on here, I want the back print on the front so you can see it loud and proud. Because on the camera, you probably can't barely, I don't know, you can probably only just make that out.
Maybe.
Whereas,
Don't mind my dog just going batshit in the background.
yeah, this is her place too.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah,
if
the big logo, I reckon, that's
Yeah.
what we need.
Dan, if you're watching, listening, put the big one on the front and send us a couple.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
And the
For
Black Magic shirt looks good too. It's one of mine. It's actually probably
Yes.
my new favourite.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, my new favourite. A couple of stickers up on the hoist and on
Yep.
the bench. So.
Yeah, a couple of souvenirs from our visit there. Yeah, lovely. But no, if you are in the market for some accessory drive stuff for your vehicle, definitely hit up Reed Speed.
It's
Great
the best.
supporters of the channel.
Yeah.
Put the Gilmer in the bin.
Hashtag put the Gilmer in the bin.
We might even get the opportunity to do that. soon.
Yeah, it's happening.
Ooh,
It's
stop
happening.
it. That'll make a great reel. You know, like a YouTube Shorts, putting the Gilmer in the bin.
Yeah.
Can't wait. On the chip, you got something that gets you on the chip?
No, not this week. I get myself on the chip when I break my hand, but other than that, I mean, I'm sure there is. Have you got anything?
Yeah, we've got one actually. I thought you might remember, but you don't.
Dude,
we talked
you
about it the
know
other
I'm
day.
not
I
gonna
know.
remember
I
it.
know.
Mate,
I
I'm
know.
34 years old and the memory of a friggin' 85-year-old. A bad one of that.
So it's not even really that big of a deal, but when people share your content, like take your content, whether it be photo, video, whatever, and then they start sharing it for their own advertising or for their own promotion or, you know, trying to build their own following, and they don't tag you. They don't tag you, they don't ask you, they don't nothing, right? And like I care if anyone shares our stuff, for the most part, you know, like we put up a photo of your car shortly after it was finished, just before motivation, and that did really well on our page. But we were getting people sending us screenshots of all these different pages that were posting it, but they didn't tag us. No, like no nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're gonna try and use it to build your own following,
It's crazy. I don't want to cut you
At
off,
least
but
credit.
it's so crazy, isn't it? The people, that's their whole thing is like just reusing other people's pictures and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Oh, and I'm all
that's their
for
thing.
it.
I'm not against it either,
Yeah.
but like you said,
I'm all for it, but like a newspaper or whatever, if they post someone's picture, they credit them in the caption. You know what I mean?
yeah. Everyone's gonna know who that ugly motherfucker is. They're gonna know his name.
Yeah.
They're gonna know what school he went to. Everything.
But like we've ended up seeing it a few times where, like I say, and I really wouldn't care.
Yeah.
It wouldn't bother me at all. You can put this on record. If you guys want to use clips from our videos, if you want to use any audio from our podcast, if you want to do whatever, go for it. We do not mind. But if you do, maybe just like try and throw a little bit of appreciation back, tag us so that, if people found that part of it interesting, then maybe they could come back to us.
Yeah, well,
And we
you get
like
that
to do the
natural
same.
reach that way, don't you? Like, rather
Yeah.
than having the view, I guess, I don't know, this is just my take on it, rather than just having the view stop there and someone sees that and go, fuck yeah, that's cool,
Yeah.
or whatever. If you tag us, then
Yeah.
like these people are going to know where to go to get more. Doesn't mean they're not going to come back to your page, bro. Like,
And there's some of
you know
these
what I mean?
pages, I didn't know about. So it's like, if you've tagged us, then I'm going to see your page, and if you're supporting us, I'm going to support you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we've even had, it was a show. It was actually based in Britain. It was being filmed in Australia, and it was going to go on the BBC. But they contacted us because they wanted to sample some of our video clips, because it was going to basically the idea of the show was they were going to pull this car out of the scrub and they were going to fix it up and drive it on the road. And they said, look, your car is very similar to this, and we kind of want to show what it could look like in episode 1. And I was like, sweet, no worries. And they're like, oh, how much do you want for it? No, don't worry about it. Just send me the release form. Don't care.
Yeah, we don't need nothing.
No, we're not out here to do that. But it's just like, that was, the Kurto, obviously they're a bit more covered in red tape, being a production company contracted to BBC and blah.
Yeah.
They've got
they're
a lot
professionals, that's the difference.
They've got a lot of process that they've got to follow.
Yeah.
But some of these other.
But it doesn't cost you anything, eh? Just like being polite to people, it doesn't cost you anything.
No.
Just say hello or just a nice smile or something. It doesn't cost you nothing, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it will come back.
Yeah,
It's
that's
one
right.
way or another. Like you said, I couldn't really care one way or the other, but
It was just frustrating. I was just like, after a little while, it was just, people that they see us using their products on the video, or or they like the car photo or whatever, and they're just using it just purely for their own benefit, with no no tag, no asking, no nothing. I was just like, that's a little bit annoying, and I never thought it would annoy me, honestly.
and it's probably only annoying you because you know how much better it would work for everyone.
That's right.
Like,
Yeah.
Because, you tag, put the link to the video in there or whatever. I know the example you're talking about. We won't mention it, but I know the example. But, like, they would have got more exposure on their product had they put a link there, so someone could have actually checked it out with the video that you didn't have to do.
No, that's right.
You know what I mean? Like,
but it's like, if I post stuff like on our Instagram stories or whatever, and I know who it belongs to, then I'm tagging them. So then people can go to their page. Like, it's, I don't know, it just seems like a respect thing.
yeah, I think
but
just, yeah.
It's just a modern day entitlement that people just go, oh, well, it was on there and I'm just going to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll get you somewhere, but I'm sure you'll hit your threshold at some point.
Yeah. Anyway.
But anyway, you're starting to sound like the bloke from the group, mate, that's just like, stop stealing all my viewers, mate. You sure it's not you?
All right, maybe it was. No.
You're going to do that Scooby-Doo thing, where you reveal your face and it's you.
Yeah.
Everybody, Jeff's been running the Street Outlaws
Yeah,
page.
that's it. That's me. All right. Yeah, that's me.
Oh, good talk, good talk.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like I say, doesn't bother me that much, but just those particular instances just started to frustrate me a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just felt like there was a good venting sesh that I could have.
Yeah, that's good.
I've got another on the chip story, unless you've got one to break up my monotonous drowning of
Nah, I
the mic.
don't think so. I haven't got anything off the top of my head.
Okay. So, I borrowed my ute to a bloke, my VS Commodore ute. good friend of ours, Caden. Actually, all you guys might get the chance to meet Caden in the not too distant future on a future episode of Torq Hub. But he wanted to pick up his brother-in-law from a formal in something a little bit nicer than, Mum's Suzuki Grand Vitara. And he said, can I borrow the ute? Yeah, no worries. I thought, give it a bit.
Give it a while.
Yeah, don't be scared, mate.
It'd be rude not to.
Absolutely.
Especially on a cold night like it was.
That's right, yeah. And considering, what he could end up with, I'm like, man, yours is going to be way more powerful than this. So, just have a feel. Have a feel. See what you reckon.
Have a listen.
And he rings me 10:30 at night. And the car's died on the side of the road. He's picked up the brother-in-law, gone for a bit of a cruise, and the car's stopped. And the brother-in-law's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like, he is peaking. Peaking hard. As you would, because like, this isn't your car, man. Like, what are we going to... That's it. We're just going to put it in the bush and burn it.
That's the only logical thing at this point, eh?
And so Caden's on the phone to me, and it's a very unfortunate set of events, actually, because my wife wasn't home that night. She was out, and I was at home. Kids were in bed. Normally, if you ring me with that sort of thing, like, hey, man, there's been an issue, I'll be like, no worries, I'll be there in a minute. Boom. I'll just come out there, sort it out, we'll be all good. But I'm on house arrest, essentially. So I said, what it sounds like he's done is he's given it a bit down the road. It's clipped the limiter and maybe blown the spark out or something. Or it's like it's clipped the limiter on a gear change and coughed and backfired maybe. I don't know. I wasn't there. This is just what I'm sort of assuming. And it's cut out. And I said, oh, yeah, cool, no worries. I've had that happen to me once before when the plugs were a bit old and the coil was a little bit, how you going? I said, you're just going to have to basically crank it over a bunch and clear the fuel out of it, and it should come back to life. He's like, okay, yep, no worries, we'll try that. Got it running again, but then he's gone, all right, so I've got it running, but it's like revving hard. Like it's hanging high RPM. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's fine. What you've done is when it's backfired, you've blown the brake booster hose off the back of the intake manifold. So now it's got a vacuum leak at the back. And I said, it's in a horrible spot, dude. You're not going to like it. Yeah. But you're going to have to stick your hand back there and plug that hose back in. Obviously, it would have moved the hose clamp back and all that. I said, just try and slide it on there. Don't worry about the hose clamp or anything, and just bring it home and I'll sort it out tomorrow. So poor bloke, he's like, never gonna borrow a car off me again.
Don't ever lend a car off Jeff, because he'll just give you a shit box that'll get you stranded.
And honestly, it was fine. Get it home, put the hose clamp on there. I fired it up and had a engine light on, ran the code. It was a intake air temp sensor.
Oh, yeah, you showed me the photo of that. Yeah. That thing did not look impressed, eh?
It was, yeah. And honestly, because obviously we just finished motivation, it chewed a cop.
It looked like...
It had melted.
It looked like it had been on an old Eaton M112 supercharger with no intercooler on pump fuel. Who would have known?
For like 20 years.
Yeah. Who would have known?
Yeah. So he was just peaking on the side of the road at this point. 10:30 at night, no one around, borrowed a car, trying to get it home. And once he got it running again and it was all good, and I was just like clear it out, just give it one decent pull, try to stay off the limiter this time, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Give it one good pull and clear it out. And he said, like fuck.
Yeah.
No way. Babied it home, put it in the shed, and that's it. Now he'll never drive it again. Because I won't let him. I'd let him, but he just won't.
There's only really, from this point, the only logical step is to really just do a single turbo 355. That's how I'm feeling about the whole situation. Like that's,
you've been feeling that way for a little while.
Yeah. Well, look, just these events keep happening. Like.
Hey man, if I could be sponsored by you, that'd be fine.
How about you sponsor me the ute then? That'll work.
Mutually beneficial.
Oh yeah. That's it.
I think I'll just finish one project at a time.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that's probably another quick thing that we can touch on because we've been asked on both sides. Where are you at with your car? Obviously, we got it to a point where we got it to motivation and it's kind of gone a little bit quiet since.
Yeah, very, very quiet, yeah.
Yeah. So where obviously there was the overheating issue.
Yeah, and that's still there. I've been, so busy. And even now, man, like there's nothing I've got planned really. I have put the two, like the plastic deflectors that go in beside the radiator. I've found those and modified some slots in where the intercooler, like inlet and outlet are and stuff. And that intercooler takes up a hell of a lot of room, and it's 100 mil thick.
Yeah.
So I've got those plastic bits in, so at least it's... I don't think it's really directing much air in there because the end tanks basically block most of that sort of angle.
But it'd be
where it's trying
reducing
to
your
catch
air
it.
bleed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Where it sits next to the end tanks, it's done its job there. So I'm kind of thinking, because I wanted to change fans, and the fan I want to go to is like one of the newer brushless spout fans, and then to utilize that, I need to get a solid state relay and then use like a pulse width modulation through the EFI to trigger it.
Right.
You can also do like a switch kit. There's 3 different switch temperatures where it'll like have a temperature where it goes to low speed and then obviously gradually goes up to full speed at the other temperature.
Right.
But they're hard to get, and I reckon they're expensive for what they are. So I think I would probably eventually just get the brushless fan, which is the main good thing about that is it's a lot narrower. It's like 80 something millimeters deep, whereas the one I've got's it's the spout. It's the biggest sort of spout fan you can buy. That's not the slimline 3000 CFM one. Like the CFM ratings are good for fuck all really when it comes to fans. Like they measure that when there's nothing in front of them at all. So which is not really
load.
that helpful. So I've got the big one that's a lower CFM, but it's got a massive motor on. It's like 110 millimeters deep or something. So that's where it's screwing me. I'm up against the water pump on the electric water pump on the engine. I'm on it. Like I swear, there wouldn't be 2.5 mil gap there. Like it's on it. So even just getting a 2 millimeter or 3 millimeter flat shroud that literally slams level with the end tanks, even that's probably going to start hitting, and I don't really want to be having any like clearance issues. So yeah, that's a long way around of saying I've done nothing, but but I have done. I've the front bars off, and I've put those deflectors in, and that's about it.
Yeah,
I've got other fish are frying at the minute. So.
Yeah, got other irons in the fire.
Yeah.
But it's essentially, once we can get that overheating issue sorted, once we can drive it on the street reliably and it controls its temperature, then it'll be ready to go for a tune.
Yeah. There's a couple other small things I want to do. Like I want to take the plenum off the top and get that resprayed because it's just ratty, and I don't want to put my the Van Group A sticker that I've got 2 of them. But I kind of want to always have a spare, so I don't want to put this one and stick it all down good on the paint job that it's got on it. I want to get it in the right silver, and I was thinking of colour coding it, but I don't know. Get it in the right silver, and also like fill some of the barbs that are in it, like delete some of those that I'm not using.
For the vacuum hoses and stuff.
Like there's one for the brake booster that I'll either delete or change it to an AN so I can do the AN line off of that rather than underneath the runner like I am now. And the other issue I've got is just the injectors. I'm not happy with how they sit, and I'm not sure what exactly the problem is because that length injector should really work fine, but I've got too much float in it. So basically what I've done for now, which kind of sounds dodgy, is I've put an O-ring over the body so that it can't go, because the chamfers on those Van Group A manifolds, well mine anyway, it's really big, so the body of the injector and everything can actually go down quite a ways, and when it does that, it unmasks the O-ring that's in the fuel rail. So basically, no matter what way you look at it, if it goes clip it all the way up into the rail, then it's sort of not really getting a good seal on the bottom O-ring and vice versa. So I'm thinking I might just machine the post down a little bit, or maybe I need a different injector extension because I've got Bosch 1000s, just the generic sort of ones with the orange and bloody blue O-rings on them or whatever they are. With an injector extension. So there's something not quite adding up there. I want to sort that out before we're making like pulls on boost, because obviously that's going to start moving injectors and stuff around. So I need, and the results of that will be catastrophic if that blows out. So
Yeah.
I need to sort that issue out as well. But the cooling thing is the main one at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it could go. I don't know what I'm going to do or where we're going to end up with that. But we'll start at the easy stuff and then work back from there. So,
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I think first things first, we've got to wait until you got a pour that works a little bit more better.
Yeah, I'm happy to have it sort of on the back burner for now. We did our little slog and got it all together in one piece. So a lot of other stuff's been put aside, other projects that are probably a lot more entertaining for you guys to see. And you know, also we're probably keen to, you know, start on something fresh and new. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to put that to the side for now and essentially just have it sitting there in one piece, and we'll come back to it at a later date.
Yeah.
When time and funds allow.
That's it. Yeah.
So
Bit more project progress happening on the VH as well since the last video. Actually, it was like even 2 days after I filmed the last update video, there was a lot more progress on the car, and it continues to keep marching forward. So won't be long until the VH is ready to be painted. I think by now, I haven't seen Simon in maybe 2 weeks. If I went in there now, he was getting ready to do the engine bay, the door jambs, and the underneath of the car. Won't be long before that thing's ready for paint. So unfortunately, as projects do, it's kind of blown out a little bit. So when I do get it home, it's probably going to get a cover put on it, and it'll go on the hoist, and it'll be up in the sky where the kids can't touch it for a little while, which is unfortunate until I save a bit more money so I can do a little bit more with it. Obviously, there's some stuff that we can probably do with the parts that I have here preemptively purchase, you know, like the body seals, and we might be able to start doing a little bit of wiring stuff and whatever. But I think, yeah, it'll probably be, I'd say, I was hoping that I might get that car finished, you know, with the 383 and everything by the end of the year, but I reckon it might be another 12 months on top of that. The rising cost of parts and living,
dude, it's crazy.
It kind of gets on top of you. And, you know, you're probably in the same boat as well. It's we did go pretty hard on your car, but that was obviously at a great expense of buying a lot of consumables and parts and this to get it over the line. And now, you know, we're just two middle class working fathers.
Living just catches up on you after a
Yeah.
while. I feel like I've sort of just been snuck up on that. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
because I don't do a lot of the like my wife, she holds it down like solid, like
Yeah.
100. It's out of control how good she is, and she does everything. And so she knows how much everything costs and this and that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just go to work, man, and just bring the money in.
Yeah.
And you start, well, what the fuck? This is all. This is getting crazy. I paid how much for what? Like.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's it. No, it's all starting to sort of catch up with us, even though we thought we had enough to get our cars done, and then we're just like, yeah, no, we're not quite there. We're both lucky that we earn a modest income. We're certainly not on the poverty line, but you know, these projects do take up a lot for sure.
And time's the other thing as well. It's hard to. If you have more spare time, you can either make more money or do more work.
Yeah, that's it. And we don't really have we don't really have any side hustles. Here we are recording a podcast.
Yeah. Hustle would be implying that you'd make some money that you could utilise, where
true.
ours sort of all goes back in, which is cool.
Yeah.
That's what we're happy to do. So
For sure.
But yeah, your project's a little bit unique in the fact that we can't put it together with the stuff that you have straight away either, because it still needs to be registered and stuff like that. So some things need to be sort of swapped and changed before and after in a way.
A little bit, yeah.
So that makes it hard as well. You got to sort of almost do the same. You can't do this because you really got to undo that. You got to do it all in a line, you know.
Yeah, that's it. So, but.
That's why we have other friends to give us stuff to do.
I was going to say, be sure to realise that they are still moving forward in their own way, but it has been slow going. Anyway, we should move on.
Hello?
Blower wine. This has actually been a good one. Obviously, it's been a little while between podcasts, so we've had a bit of time to accumulate some
Yeah.
calls.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, like, geez, if we get too many, we'd end up with like a 3-hour podcast, which wouldn't be a bad thing. But I reckon we'd almost... So if we got like, I don't know, if we say got a dozen calls in between the two podcasts, we'd do a couple on the show, but then we'd almost be able to have like a dedicated podcast for it. And I was like, oh, if we drag these on too long, we'd
Either
almost
that
be
or
there.
tack it on the back, maybe.
Maybe.
So if you don't want to, like, you know, the last bit's just going to be all the questions and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cool.
Tell us what you think.
Yeah, let us know. I enjoy it though. I enjoy getting these calls in and answering and whatever. You're right there. Nice. Alrighty. Should we kick off with the first one?
Yep.
Hey boys, it's Blake here, first time calling. I've just got 2 questions to ask. First is, what do you think about the car scene for the future, sadly with the electric cars and hybrids and all that? I'm just curious what you boys think what the future will be like for us. And second of all, what do you think about people parking up their cars, keeping the Ks down, keeping them tidy? Do you think it's worth doing that, or do you reckon it's just better off just driving? I'm just curious what you guys think about that. Cheers, boys. Keep up the work. Loving the podcast. Take care.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for the questions.
The EV thing. This was eventually always going to happen. We've tried to avoid the EV chat too much.
Yeah. I think they, performance-wise,
I was going to say, straight off
you
the
can't
bat.
look. You can't argue with facts and what's what.
Yeah.
But the thing with cars and the car enthusiasts, it's not all about just hard facts. What's the best on paper or
No.
whatever? It's got a lot to do with, you know, an emotion that it gets out of you, or how it makes you feel, or even the opportunities it brings to you with whatever, you know. So
Yeah.
there's more to it than just this car's better than that car. That's never the case. Like,
No.
you just can't. I couldn't give a fuck about electric cars. I reckon they're shit. I would never, well, they're not shit, but they're just not for me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just not interested in that. I'm just not.
I will absolutely own one. I think my wife's next car may likely be an electric car. And this is a long way down the line because my wife's car is fairly recent, and I think we're going to have to at least get our money's worth out of it.
Yeah.
But I think for a commuter, I think they're excellent. I think, you know, it's particularly like wake
I
up
don't know,
and...
man. I reckon they're inconvenient, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Nah.
Yeah,
See,
I reckon.
for a commuter, just going to work and back, and like particularly for people like us who don't have to travel that far for work, and you know, you can wake up in winter, whip your phone out, turn the heater on in the car, jump in the shower, you know, get in, silent. You're not waking up the family when you leave. Boom, go to work. When you get home, like the car's just sitting in the garage anyway, so you just plug that in on the way inside. Poof, happy days. You know, it's not going to be convenient for, you know, distance travel, and there's obviously going to be limitations for it. You know, if you're trying to do like a weekend away with the family and you're traveling here, there, and everywhere, and particularly in Western Australia where we live, the charging infrastructure is very limited. But I think as a shopping trolley, as a work car, as a school runabout, they tick a lot of boxes, honestly.
Yeah.
They tick.
I
a lot
don't
of
think
boxes.
the other cars don't tick those same boxes though. With like, because essentially you've got a car that is good for that and fuck all else. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And then
if,
like, what are you going to do?
if you had a car for every occasion, sort of thing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's why. Like, what is the main vehicle that you see in this country cruising around? It's like, it's more or less dual cab utes or full drive wagons, or you know, those sort of.
But what choice have we been given though? Like, you look at the market and what we've got, it's all gone to like, can you buy a station wagon now? Like,
No, but why would you want to when you can just buy the full drive version or like the more spacious version? So
Yeah.
I'm getting at, like, if we lived in like, I don't know, in the built up city, if we were only built up city, you know, we've got a lot of country that a lot of us
yeah.
like to get around, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think they're that practical, and I think people like the idea of them thinking that they're doing the right thing by the environment. But I honestly think you're just ill-informed, really, at that point. You know, like
the environmental argument for me
is null and void.
Exactly,
really. Like
yeah.
it's, you know, you can't recycle the batteries. You know, you can't put the fucking things out when they catch on fire and.
But not
stuff
only
like
that, it's like yeah, so you've got this emission-free vehicle. That's all well and good,
You
but
don't,
then,
but
like let's say, for instance, that vehicle is emissions-free when it's running. When you're driving it, it's emissions-free. But the way that you maintain it, the way that it's produced, the mining effects of
to build that car, they're crazy.
Yeah.
With the amount of minerals and resources that they use. So when you're building them, they're not environmentally friendly or even like recyclable, like the battery itself. You can't recycle them from what I've read and what I've been told.
And I'm sure that technology will move. Like, we'll probably go from.
I think there is technology out there that has nothing to do with batteries that is 100% renewable. It's just not out yet. Like I think the companies that have that sort of stuff will save that in their back pocket for later on once this other stuff, has done its dash. You know what I mean? So I think that's where they're at with that.
It's an interesting topic. Obviously, it gets quite political, and I think
it gets heated, eh?
Yeah, and I think you and I are on probably very similar pages. Like very similar pages, and I think a lot of the people that listen to us, that are into the same kind of stuff that we are, would be on a very similar page as well. But that's almost kind of gone on a tangent because it's not really what he asked. It was more, how do you see the car scene with the electric vehicle thing coming on?
Well, I don't know. I honestly don't think they're going to take off, man. Like, I don't. I think this is just a bit of a phase. Like, and don't get me wrong, I'm neither here nor there. I don't think people shouldn't be like. If you like them, that's cool. But as long as you're not going to force down our throat that like our cars aren't good for the environment, but yours is. Like, that's the only thing I'm not really going to stand for. And I don't care to argue. I don't have all the facts. I just think the little that I know about it. You're not getting me from that point of view. But if I think from a performance point of view, like they're great. Like Jerome, he's been in one in a Tesla, whatever, something or other, and they're ridiculous in the way. Like it's an electric motor, dude. You can't beat it for
the torque.
Yeah, everything straight away. Like you can't beat that. So I guess I think that'd be okay in the car scene. I've seen some bloody lowered Teslas and stuff like that look with wheels and stuff, but like what else are you going to do? Okay, so you can maybe soup the batteries up a bit and lower them and put wheels on them. And
so I think it'd come to a point where you'd almost have to look at like aftermarket upgraded electric motors. So like, and then you upgrade your battery pack and then you put a better motor in it and blah blah blah. And I mean there's like electric rail cars, and I'm talking like 10 15 years ago, like a long time before like a Tesla was a normal car to see on the road, and they ran good power, good times at the track, stuff like that. And it'd be interesting to see if more and more people do move with that, the circuitry and like the power management side of it.
I think like all that stuff, they could be the quickest things in the world. You know what I mean? They could be the quickest wheel-driven thing in the world.
But they still got no soul.
Do you think that you're going to have a big championship made of it where you're going to have like stacked crowds like we did at like Western Nationals a couple of weeks ago? No, dude. Because that's what I mean. It's not just A to B, this is better, that's better. It's all about the experience and the emotion of what you're getting out of it. A lot of people aren't going to be able to do jack shit on an electric car themselves, whereas opposed to something like the stuff that we fuck around with, you can do some dangerous stuff that you shouldn't be doing. You can wreck some parts and hurt yourself. You know what I mean? You can sort of tiptoe into that, whereas I'm sure messing performance-wise, I'm sure it wouldn't be that straightforward. I wouldn't know.
No.
But I'm not good with technology either, so...
No,
I don't know. I think if you're a car guy and you like it and you're going to get it out and buy wheels and go to meets, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's my answer. I like them if you like them, but... Yeah, but I think a lot of people that have them are very, very, very passionate about not having an internal combustion engine car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's where I stand on that. But I think it'd be good, really. Yeah. But I honestly don't think they're going to take over. I just don't.
Yeah, not in Australia.
You see the stuff they're doing. They're trying to shut down a lot of our power producing things. They don't want to do coal-fired power stations here, but... Yeah, it's a lot of political crap, I think, so which is going to make it hard. And just this landscape, it's so big and so, it's just, I can't see it working.
On a side note, slightly related, slightly unrelated, have you looked into hydrogen cell stuff before?
No, but I think that's the goey. I think that's where we need to be.
Yeah, I think hydrogen would be good. Obviously, it's very volatile to store, from what I gather. I've spoken to a couple of engineers about it because we were talking about. I work in the railways, and we've got battery electric locomotive conversions that'll be happening in the country soon-ish. Through different companies and whatever. And I asked them about that and how they saw that happening. Then I also asked him about hydrogen, and he seemed to think the same. He said, energy potential per gram sort of thing, very, very good. But obviously where we're at now is it's quite volatile to store, and we don't have very, I guess, reliable ways of storing the hydrogen for a mainstream product. So it'd be interesting to see if that develops, because I'm with you. I'd like to see more hydrogen stuff.
Yeah, and I wonder how different technologies, some technologies are probably easier to monopolise than others, because let's not forget, these people that are paying all this money to invest in all this technology, they want their return, okay? And they want to get their money back out of it. They don't want to bring something out that's not going to, have their ability to milk a lot of money out of it for a very long time, like what we have with petrol and other resources. So, there's always different angles you can look at what it is. But yeah, it'd be good.
Yeah. And there was part 2 of his question too. I can't remember what it was.
It was about parking them up or driving the cars.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Parking them up. What do you reckon?
Same thing again. Some people like just collecting cars to look at them and just have them there to look at and talk at the pub or talk with their groups or whatever and get real nitty gritty on the numbers and the build numbers and this and that. And they're probably really not interested in driving. It's a lot of hassle sometimes for a lot of these collector cars to get them out and keep them charged and clean and registered and all that stuff. So,
maintained, yeah.
Yeah, it just depends what you're going for. Like,
yeah,
really, that's just a personal preference thing. Me personally, I like the idea of driving cars. That's even though I haven't driven mine much in the last while, but we're getting there.
While
go easy. So yeah, but I don't know. I think driving them is good.
Yeah, I think so too. Obviously, like I say, if you've got many cars to choose from, well, then they're probably going to each have their purpose, or they're going to have, like some of them will come out for particular events and others will, for different stuff. But I reckon, use them. You're not going to invest that time and in working to save, to purchase that vehicle, just to sit it there and look at it.
Yeah. Well, they're the sorts of cars that we like to
That's right, yeah.
Get involved with anyway, is the ones that you're doing whatever modifications to so that they drive better, go better, stop better.
To me, man, it's like going to all the effort of, pleasing someone and getting yourself a missus, but then not rooting her so you can save her good for the next bloke.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
No, it's not my move.
Nah.
No. So, but it depends again on the cars. Some cars might be really cool and worth a lot of money and drive like shit.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But I mean,
and a lot of cars are cool to look at. So,
yeah.
And if you've got, so that's the other thing. If you've got something else cool to drive, well, then you might not really feel like driving this particular one because it's super rare and it's just not worth the hassle. It's probably too stressful taking, and there'd be heaps of cars like that are just too stressful to take out anywhere because the risk just isn't worth the reward.
So let's remove the asset-rich car collector from the equation. Let's just go back to mum and dad. They've got their daily drivers, and then they got the old Monaro down in the back shed. But the old boy doesn't want to get it out because you got to keep it nice. So removing the rest of them, you've got what would be considered a normal collector car. For me, I'm driving it.
Yeah.
I'm probably not driving it as often as I'd like to, but I'm driving it.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be a thing of, I'm not going to take it out in the pissing down rain if I can foresee it coming, because you're going to try and keep it nice.
Yeah.
You don't, particularly some of these cars, they're getting a bit old, the seals are a bit busted. You don't want water leaking where it shouldn't be, but I'm still going to get it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think once you're at that level, like, your old Monaros and stuff, they're they're a once a month sort of deal or once every few months.
Yeah.
That's probably all you need.
Well,
But I guess that question, it could be more pertaining to like cars like this one, you know, that are sort of, they're nothing really that special, or they haven't been up until this point. But, you know, relatively low Ks, you know, you don't mind driving it here, there and anywhere, but maybe I should just not drive it for a few years and then flog it off and get a good quid for it, like as an investment kind of thing.
Yeah. I was going to say, as it stands, sometimes I'm lucky to get that out once a month, and that's just because I got 2 young kids and you can't fit a family of 4 in it, so that kind of makes it hard, which was the idea of buying the VH, and now I've turned that into an animal that it probably should never have been. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Are you going to try?
But in that sense, I think that I'll probably get more use out of the SLE once that's running than this Ute. And that's not to say that I'm going to get rid of it. I think I've got other things that I want to do with it. But, yeah, I reckon drive them for sure.
Yeah. That's the thing. Do what you want. Whatever makes you happy.
That dude. Yeah. Whatever you like, boys. Whatever makes you happy. Nah, thanks for that, Blake. Appreciate it, mate. Actually, speaking of whatever makes you happy, Aaron, we've still got one more of his questions. You know how I said I'd spread it out?
Yeah.
We got one more. So we'll hit him with the last one.
All right, lads. Aaron here again. Last question, I promise. Less about cars and more about you as people. What drives 2 blokes from the burbs to give up time, effort and energy to create a car channel? What are you getting out of it? Is it personal gain? Is there financial gain? Is there tax benefits? Does your wife just hate you? Are you banned from the house on weekends? Why are you doing it? Why are you putting yourself through the ringer to create social media content for a whole bunch of people that A, don't pay for it, and B, probably show limited appreciation for your efforts?
That's a good one.
Yeah. I won't speak for you. You can. What's your motivation?
Well, I think I've said this before numerous times on our videos and podcasts. We don't really need any motivation because this is just what we like to do in our limited spare time. So whether the camera was running or not, this would be happening. Like literally, there wouldn't be many differences in what we've already done to this point.
No.
With the video or not, really. I don't think so anyway. There might be a couple of different things that we've filmed that we might, I think, we would have still had to do it. We wouldn't have filmed it.
Yeah.
So, you can't, and we're not successful by any gauge of anything as far as like financial or tax benefits or anything like that.
Yeah. I was going to say, for there to be any tax benefit, that would mean that TorqHub as an entity would have to be making X amount of money. And even if it did, and like obviously the YouTube revenue comes in, it's probably not as much as you think, and we sell some merch and we make a little bit on that. Once again, probably not as much as you think.
Yeah.
And
it kind of all gets reinvested, really.
Exactly.
All on this stuff, and we don't buy heaps of stuff. We don't have anything flash, but it all gets reinvested. Whether you sell shirts, but then you buy another batch, and all the money goes back in just so you've got more shirts on the shelf. Like there's no.
So we've essentially built this brand for $0 out of pocket expense. That was kind of our aim, right? So we started filming videos, putting them on YouTube. We got to a point where we could monetize the videos, and then that meant that we could buy another GoPro. And then once we bought that other GoPro, we could make some more content, and then we could buy a better microphone. And now we've gotten to a point where we got the wireless microphones. Since our last podcast, we've actually just bought another set of microphones with the money that, we have trickling in, so that now we've got 4, and we could maybe bring some guests onto the podcast. But that money also goes back into, like you say, creating our logo. We got a graphic designer to do that. Building our website.
The editing software is a monthly subscription that's not super cheap. So that comes out.
Yep.
The music subscription, that costs money.
But we've managed to do all of that without pulling any money from our what I'll call our household expense money. You know, like TorqHub is financing itself in that way. But like Kurt said, the stuff that we're doing with our cars and whatever, and our mates' cars that we've built, we were going to do that regardless. It takes longer when you're filming it. Like it's made some of these projects take longer than they would have normally, but otherwise we're just doing what happens on any given weekend across the country with dudes that are working on their cars or working on their mates' cars. And we're just very lucky, very fortunate that we've got a good circle of friends that like getting into the same stuff as we do. And, you know, maybe they don't have as much shed space as we do or whatever. And we offer to give them a hand with their project, and they allow us to film it. So,
yeah, we just get to share it with everyone, which is, you know, it's always good, because you can't be at a car show every day of your life or every weekend or whatever. So this is just like another fix, really, where you get to bounce ideas, share your thoughts, and get to share the things that you're proud of doing. Like, you know, we've done things that we're proud that we've done, you know. So
yeah, for sure. And it's a great excuse for us to catch up as well. This podcast in particular is a great excuse just to sit down and chew the fat.
Yeah, the last 2 times they've been a month apart, and I hadn't seen you for weeks or hardly spoke. Yeah. For the last two months, which is rare for us. Usually we're always on it, but yeah, just life is life.
Yeah. So I guess the motivation for continuing to do it, I guess, is it's unlocking some doors. You know, where we now get to network with people that we may never have before. You know, we get to talk to people who are in in the automotive industry, not certain industries, the automotive industry, which, if, you know, when we introduce ourselves to them, they know who we are, which is weird in a way, because why do you know me? Yeah. But you know, the Reed Speed sponsorship, the Penrite brand ambassadorship, things like that is really exciting, and that helps to motivate to keep it going. And then we may get to a point where, you know, but TorqHub then generates enough funds to build a project car, which is essentially what we're going to try and do with the Blue VY Ute. It's going to be highly budget, you know, very, very budget. But we're going to try, again, to do that for $0 out of pocket in regards to our household spend. Then what do we do with that car? Maybe that continues to generate more content, which will then hopefully generate some more income to do another one. Or we sell that car and then pump that money back into the channel. I don't know, but
it's a slow burn. This thing's a slow burn, and if you're doing it to try and get out of your day job, like in the next
10 years,
like it would have to be so big to cover what we already do as jobs now.
Obviously it wouldn't be as hard if it was only one of us, but it's two of us. So whatever income we bring in has to be split, and then, you know, it's interesting. Yeah. At Motivation, I got asked twice, is this like your full-time or part-time job? And the first guy I laughed at, and I felt bad because I was like, oh, you weren't joking.
Oh, you are delirious.
I was like, oh, no, man, at best.
This is barely a part-time thing, hey? Really,
it's beer money, man. Yeah. It's beer money. But like I say, we're starting to get it going, and no taxation benefits, because that means there would have to be some income benefits, which there aren't. And any income that comes in gets pumped straight back out again. So there's no tax. It's all written off. So
you need to make money to pay tax.
Yeah. But it's, you know, we've been able to build a sweet little community of people that, you know, some of them, we don't even know what you look like. A lot of them. But
well, the community has always been there. We're sort of just bringing it to the light, I guess, and sharing it, like, you know, with other people, sort of.
Yeah. And there's other people that do it. Obviously, there's heaps of YouTube channels and whatever else, and they all do great stuff. But I think not many people do what we do in a sense of...
And probably not the way we do it either, because we're not trying to get anything... And this isn't... I try not to sound so negative when I talk about everything, but like a lot of people out there are like doing this and they want the sponsors and stuff. They're like, what can I get out of this? What can I get out of this that's going to better me? Where we're good on that front. So we're sort of more like, what can benefit you, or what, and you as in like an Australian business or company or part supplier, because that's what we really want to do. Is we want to spread the word on good Australian businesses and products and stuff like that, because that helps everyone. You know what I mean? It's no skin off our nose to promote someone, whether they're paying us or not. So
that's right.
That's why it was so good when Reed Speed jumped on board. He didn't have to do that. And
that's it.
So he's supporting us, and we're going to just do everything we can to support him and show you guys all the great products he has. And man, it would be awesome to help him develop some more one day.
Absolutely.
Everyone joining up for the same cause is what it's all about. It's not a me thing. It can't be. It's not sustainable. It won't work. No. People see through it straight away.
Yeah. Yeah, as the traffic started to build for this viewer base that we've got, how do we want to use that? And we both said it to each other. We just want to partner with essentially companies that we're already customers
that we
of.
believe in. Like there's no sellout at any point.
Yeah. We just want to. Well, I mean, we are for sale, but not at any cost.
Yeah, but that's not a sellout though. Like, taking the dollar sign over what you really believe in and selling bullshit.
No.
It's just not going to happen on here.
We're only going to be partnering
Which I think sorry to cut you off, but that sort of brings more value to anyone that does ever want to jump on board, because, it's worth more. The word's worth more when you know that you're never going to try and sell someone something that's dog shit.
Yeah. So that's essentially it. Yeah, you get some haters. Some people, step in and want to rain on your parade. But honestly, it's a very small percentage. Most of you guys pump us up,
and that's relative to our success too. Once, or if and when we do get more successful, the haters will get more. That's just how that flow graph works. So
yeah.
And you can only just really feel sorry for people, really, at the end of the day. That's what I try and tell my two sons. If anyone's trying to drag you down, you can really only feel sorry for them at the end of the day, because something's going on there. So
yeah. I think Cletus said it a long time ago. He was just like, if you got haters trying to belt your door down, you're doing something right.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, Aaron.
So I was going to say, thanks so much. That was a really good question.
Appreciate it, bud.
Boys, it's Roland here. I just had 2 questions for you. Number 1, what would be your 3 dream cars? And number 2, what made you get into the car scene? Cheers, boys.
The old 2-parter. It's a bit of a popular thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, if you're going to all that effort to go on the website and click the button, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I honestly don't blame you. It's good.
Yeah. 3 dream cars.
I think I might have even mentioned this on a previous podcast or maybe a video. For someone that's so into cars, it'd be hard for me to peg down 3. Because
I was going to say, it's an impossible question.
It is. It really is. Like, I know, and I'm sure I've said this, like, if I can only have 3 cars, I guess that's not the same question as what are my 3 dream cars. But my VR, in its fully finished, how my vision is, that will be one of my dream cars, just because there's just nothing that can replace that car, and there's no other car that could ever make me feel the way I will and do about that car. So that one's always going to be there. Not even close to the form it's in now. It's in like a 10% form at the minute, because that's just the amount of time, effort and money I can throw at it.
And then the other 2 cars would be exactly the same, but one a wagon and one a ute.
Yeah, I definitely don't have a palette. Oh, I don't know how I want to explain it, but I don't have I don't have a broad range of vehicles that I like. I shoot low, and
your range of interest is pretty narrow.
It's more or less my brain set. Really, I'm starting to only really learn it at this age. I'm sort of in my mid-30s, and you aim low and hit, and it's not always the way to be. But that's sort of where I'm at this point. So I do really I'd have some sort of. I think I couldn't look at myself right unless I had some sort of 60s or 70s Australian muscle, whether that be like a Tirana hatchback or a HK Monaro, something along some sort of 2-door, late 60s or 60s, early 70s muscle car, I guess you call it. Something like that I would love, something done, but once again, super modified and I would have put my hands all over it and done everything. So something like that. And then probably the same thing, but with some American muscle. I really like sort of your mid-60s Novas, and probably if I had to pick right now, it'd be like a 69 Camaro or something like that. Very, very cliche, I understand, but that is for a reason. They are a beautiful car. Like James from ProShine, his red one is just absolutely gorgeous. So that's one that springs to mind. Ryan Martin's one that he bought, man, that was probably my favourite looking car from those guys.
Yeah.
I do like the Nova as well, but yeah, I don't know. Something like that. I'm really not into the exotics, although, you know, if I had that sort of money, I'm sure I'd dabble. But I think your sort of older muscle cars are more where I'm at, I think. And that's where I'm at.
What got you there? What got you in?
Probably my old man. When he was still alive, he was a real car nut. When I was growing up, I was sort of more into bikes and motorbikes and stuff like that. And it wasn't really until I started my apprenticeship. And, you know, you start hanging around older, you know. I was, 14 or 15. Yeah, 15 when I started, pretty early. So you're very impressionable at that time. And a lot of young fellas that, start earning a bit of money, like, older guys, 18 or whatever, they start doing cars. And I just started buying magazines. Basically, I used to read a lot of magazines. I'll have to show my magazine collection one day. It's fairly substantial. I've been collecting mags. Not all of them. I'm not an avid like every number, but I've got a lot of books, and that's what I used to do before smartphones were a thing. I would just read a Street Commodore, or before Street Commodores, I started out with maybe like all your ADB, like Australasian dirt bike and a lot of motorbike stuff, and then it progressed to Ride BMX and all those sorts of ones, and then you get licensed and it's Street Commodores, and then I went off Street Commodores for a while, so I got sick of Commodores, and it was just Street Machine. So it's really that whole culture, and it was probably. That era would be sort of the early mid-2000s. Say mid-2000s is when I was that age, and it was thriving. The car scene was thriving back then.
I think that's a podcast. We've said it before, but that'll be a podcast topic, like the Australian print media and the golden era of it and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it'd be cool to do like a Where Are They Now segment, you know what I mean? Yeah. I seen Big L Photography. He put the post up and was just...
Yeah, I saw that.
He's always got cool stuff going on his Facebook and that. And I've seen a lot of people jumping in and saying this and that. So there's a lot of people like us that like to reminisce. And I've got a lot of Perth Street Car. That was by far my favourite book. Very, very good publication that one was when it came. And then it changed to... What did it change to, Jeff? I've gone a bit blank. It went Perth Street Car, and then it changed to Forged, didn't it?
Forged, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was awesome too. It was basically exactly the same sort of deal in a way.
I think Perth Street Car sort of finished, but Jordan Least was involved in Perth Street Car, and then he sort of went, I'm just going to do my own.
Yeah, it was very, very similar set out.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it a lot. It's probably my favourite magazine I think I've ever had, and I've got quite a few of those. There was a lot of good cars getting built back then. So
I think, or it might have lapsed last month, I'll have to check, but I've even still got a subscription to Street Machine now.
Yeah, okay. I did buy one the other day. I don't know if I've read it yet.
Yeah.
I don't think I have. It's not the same. I still do enjoy it, but I don't know. I find myself... These phones, man, they rub a lot of time off you, eh?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So...
Yeah, for sure.
That's another topic. So, yeah, I don't know if I picked one. If I just... Look, he's just going to nail me down and say, VR, 69 Camaro, and I'm going to do an LX hatch.
Yeah. Nice. That's not a bad option.
Yeah. Ask me the same question next week, and it will be different, I promise you. There'll be a HK Monaro in there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like I say, it's the same. Could I lock it down to 3? Probably not. If I had to pick 3, my VH is definitely like, that's when Jeff was 15 and he had a poster up on his wall. That's the kind of car that I'm trying to build. But obviously, technology's advanced over time and whatever, so I'm going to try and add some of that into it. So the VH SLE is definitely going to be one of them. I'm very similar to you, actually. So it's like that'd be my Australian, and then I'd want an American one of some description, whether that be like a 66 Shoebox Nova or maybe a 67 Dodge Dart.
Yeah, the Dodge stuff. See, look, there you go.
Yeah.
Man, yeah.
See, I think something like that. I kind of like those sort of more compact, and even, in America, those compact cars are probably bigger than ours. But like a 67 Dodge Dart with like a, big block Hemi, that sort of deal, that'd be pretty cool. But, like the VH and like your car or whatever, that'd be something that we've, molested from front to back.
Yeah,
Like we've taken a Dodge Dart body and we've just done everything with it.
I don't like leaving anything like stock, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure if I bought one of those friggin', what is it, the Hellcat 170, whatever it is, I'd have to do stuff to that too. Just, because the bloke around the corner's got the same, so I can't have that.
Nah,
we got to do something.
That's it. And I think if I had to pick a third, I would like an exotic of some description. If money was no object and I could have whatever one I wanted. I think it'd probably be something like a McLaren 675 LT or something like that. I just like, I do enjoy the stuff that you see with McLaren and Ferrari especially, where that Formula One technology then filters down into a road car. That I think is very interesting and very impressive. The Lambo thing, like to me, the Lambo exotics, that's kind of like the YouTuber type of supercar.
Yeah, I think
they're cool. Like I think they are cool. Don't get me wrong, but if I was to pick an exotic, it wouldn't be a Lambo. It'd probably be a Ferrari or a McLaren, and I'd probably definitely lean towards McLaren.
Yeah. If money was no object, you'd get that bloody you'd get like an F40 or something like that black one, the Gas Monkey done, or something. You know what I mean? Just something just crazy.
Oh, look, if you had like absolute fuck.
Well, we are
money.
Dreaming. That's what I mean. We're not dreaming big enough, Jeff. That's what the problem is, and that's what I sort of went in on before. You got to dream a bit bigger, maybe.
Yeah, maybe get a Koenigsegg. Something like proper, get some real.
Because I think the problem with a lot of these exotics is like they don't seem to be built to last. Hey, like they're very much like and a lot of people that have them, they'll have them for a bit, and then the next one's out. So then you're just ditching it, losing a heap of money on it. Sometimes you won't. Sometimes you'll make a lot of money, but I guess not a lot of the time you'll lose a lot of money, and you're on to the next new thing. So then it's not like they're keeping them for 50, 60,000 kilometers. Because Jerome was telling me, a lot of these cars, man, things start fucking up on them. Like you need to rebuild engines and transmissions. It's like, man, these things are supposed to be the most, highly exotic, like super crazy engineered stuff.
But they're also very highly strung. And so it's like, you've got like an hour limit. It's kind of like a race car. That's why I like a lot of race cars and stuff. They don't have a kilometer odometer. They got hour meters. And it's like after a certain amount of hours, that's it. So that they're built to go in, go hard and get the job done sort of thing. But I think also these hyper successful people that have these, super duper supercars and hypercars, they've probably got a pretty sweet little setup where it's purchased for business purpose and they depreciate it and then they move it on, and that's why they get the new one. So there's probably...
and a lot of them wouldn't get driven that hard, I wouldn't think either.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
Which good on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to drive your stuff hard if you don't want to.
But it's interesting you should say, I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here, but the whole we don't dream big enough. I've sort of gone down a bit of a rabbit hole on some podcasts recently where some successful people have been speaking, and they talk a lot about the law of attraction. And, if you dream big and you talk big and you tell yourself, I'm going to have that, eventually you're going to get there. And I think I've kind of started thinking that with this whole deal, and it's like, do you know what? At the moment, we aim to do 2 videos and 1 podcast a month, and that is sustainable for us most of the time with our day-to-day life. But it's like, we need to start talking, we're going to do 2 videos a week and 2 podcasts a month. That's where we would love to be in an ideal world. And even then, that wouldn't replace our full-time income probably. But I don't know. It's an interesting thing when you talk about you need to dream big. I think you've really got to shoot for the stars. And then the more that you talk about it and believe that you're worthy, then the more you'll work towards it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. One day, bro, we're going to have like 50-acre farm with a giant shed, and we'll have a podcast studio and a dyno cell and all the good stuff. That's going to be us.
Yeah. Next question, huh?
Yeah, g'day Kurt. G'day Jeff. I got a bit of a two sort of part question for you, probably more towards Kurt.
Another two-part.
I didn't even realise that Kurt used to own that ute, but yeah, a bit of like a backstory on how that ute came to be and how you built it and that kind of stuff, and if you do it again. And yeah, probably like the second part of the question would be if you both had that ute from standard or sort of any ute, and you had sort of 10 grand or 15 grand to build it, would you do it similar to how it was down when you built it, Kurt, or would you just do something a bit different? But yeah, it'd be cool to have a bit of a backstory on that. So cheers.
Yeah, right. Good question. Thanks for that. I'm going to let you down with the first part. I didn't actually build it, as you would say.
Nah.
I didn't pay for the services that got done on that ute. I bought it off a guy named Brad back when I was 18, and most of what's done on that car now was already done back then.
That's right.
So
yeah.
he'd done the supercharger kit and all the other little bits and pieces, exhaust and suspension, put some seats in it and done the clutch, and yeah, I think even back then he'd spent $16,000, 16, 17 grand back in the, that would have been 2000, like early 2000s, maybe even late 90s, early 2000s, you think?
Yeah. So
when he did that, so yeah.
It's actually funny how this ute's kind of gone almost like how it goes full circle.
It's a circle.
It's a circle. So I can probably add a little bit more depth to the story, being that so Brad worked in the railways. I've worked alongside guys that he worked with, and I've met Brad many times.
Yeah, he wasn't necessarily in our friend circle per se, especially not back when I bought it, but we just sort of knew of him.
And as we got older and stuff as well, like if I took the car to a car meet or whatever, he'd come and say good day and have a yarn or whatever. So there's a fellow that I'm friends with, Darren. He and Brad were both looking at the car at the same time, and Darren was like spewing that Brad bought it.
Yeah.
But he's also glad that Brad bought it because Darren would have done nothing with it, probably.
Yeah.
But Brad essentially started becoming reasonably good friends with Mark at Mark's workshop. He started as a customer, but they built themselves a bit of a relationship together, and essentially they wanted to see how far they could push the kit that's on there with the M112 blower, and they were sort of stepping up. So originally it had like a 7 or an 8 pound pulley on it, and then they put an 11 pound pulley on it, and they were going to go to 14, but then
that would have been a bad idea.
Yeah, but then it sort of fizzled out and whatever, and so they were sort of developing the ute over time and the performance package, and that was a package that was on sold to other people and all that sort of stuff. Brad also had other cars, so he had a VR GTS.
Yeah. And I'll add while you're going, I had the choice of buying either the VR GTS or the ute for the same money back then, and it was a 6-speed VR GTS. And I went with this one because I wanted something with a little bit of horsepower. So
with the blower on it.
Yeah, I went with that. Semi-regret it in a way because that would have been good to get into a VR or VS 215 6-speed car.
Yeah.
Because I did think I wanted to get in one of those a little bit later on, and I probably would have kept it. I probably wouldn't have got rid of it. When I did, I'd sort of just grown bored of it. I had it I don't even know how long I had it for.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years, and you kind of wanted it, so I sold it to you.
Yeah, so it was a thing of, obviously, you kind of wanted to do something with it, but then by doing something with you that would then be detracting from your VR.
Yeah.
And here's the irony. So I bought this car, 11, 12 years ago, and you sold it to me so that you would have some more funds to put into the car to get yours finished. And 12 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I had an LS1 VT Commodore at the time, which, I kind of decided at that point it probably wasn't for me, and I was looking elsewhere at other things, and you mentioned to me that you were thinking about moving the ute on. You'd tried to sell it once before when I wasn't really ready. And then it came off the market, and then you put it back on the market again. And that's when I said, do you know what? Yeah, no, I wouldn't mind it. This is where the story starts to go full circle. So, yo, everybody. Now, if you are watching this as a video podcast on YouTube or Spotify, unfortunately, this is where we had some kind of, I don't know, I think it was a memory card issue with the camera, and from here, our visuals just stopped. We don't know why. Might be time for a better camera and maybe a new memory card, to be sure. But this is where we thank the Lord that we record our audio separately, and the audio is still perfect right to the very end. So continue enjoying the podcast, unfortunately, without the visuals from the shed. Make sure if you are listening on Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever podcast platform, give us a 5-star rating or like, share with your friends. Really helps us keep this thing moving forward, building the community, and we'll be able to keep bringing you gangster content. Anyway, guys, enough about the technical difficulties, and I'll let you get on enjoying the rest of the podcast. Thanks. Fast forward a bunch of years, and I've been enjoying the car, and it was still in very good condition, but it was ready for a refresh. And the clear coat had an incident from a previous repair, and it was time to respray the whole car. Funnily enough, Brad, who originally built this ute, is no longer with us. He passed away from cancer a few years ago, but one of the fellas at the panel shop which resprayed this ute was actually Brad's son.
Yeah.
So that was kind of
cool. Crazy, isn't it?
And I didn't realise at the time, but it was when I went to pick the ute up, and he was just like, "Oh man, like, really love doing this because like that was my dad's car," and I was just like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
And he was telling me like he remembered getting dropped off to school in it, but by the time Brad sold it to you, he wasn't old enough to even drive, so he never actually got to drive the ute.
Yeah.
So I was just like, "Come man, let's go for a lap," and we did. So that was kind of cool. That's kind of where this ute sort of goes full circle a little bit.
Yeah.
It's
always been like just a cool, neat, tidy ute. Like, how many Ks has it got on it now? Like,
I think
talking about keeping the Ks low. Not that any of us ever did that, but like, it's a low kilometre car for a car that's 95, like built in 95.
I think it's got 178,000.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure when you would have done a lot of that. I can't remember how many Ks it had when I bought it. I have no idea, but I didn't put tons on it just because that wasn't what it was for. I used to just take it out every weekend basically, and when the weather was good.
Yeah, I think I bought it with about 150,000 on it, so I've done about 30,000 Ks in the last 10 years, but obviously that's been reduced a fair bit over the last few years since having kids. I dailied it at one point.
Yeah.
I dailied it for a little while, but
I had all sorts of plans for that thing, but like with all my vehicles I've had through my whole life, I've just had this beat up Commodore that I want to do, and I'll buy another car just to, keep me sidetracked for a little bit, but that's all it is. It's just sidetracking me from what I really wanted to do. So I don't know how many more cars. I've probably had another 3 or 4 that I bought that I'm like, oh yeah, this will keep me tied over because I'm too lazy to actually do any real work on the Commodore, on the VR. So but finally we making a little bit of headway anyway. So
and 10 to 15 grand if you bought this ute stock, how'd you do it?
Now or back then, do you think? Which one should
now? I think you said now. If you bought it now, and
if I had that ute like that without basically the supercharger on it, 15 grand, I'd probably just I'd just do a stock bottom end turbo deal on it. Probably. I say that. 15 grand. Either that or a blower. Put like a little blower on it or something.
Yeah, a little Harrop kit. Yeah. Like a Harrop 2300. Yeah. That is essentially today's version of what's on there now. Like if you bought the Harrop 2300 non-intercooled kit, that is essentially...
Which I'd never do. You got to get the intercooler.
Oh, absolutely.
Every time.
But even if you bought an intercooled kit, that would be like the modern day equivalent of what's on there now, but far more efficient, far more power production. Like that's a dinosaur blower. It would be nice to have something newer.
It'd be nice to have like a bit better transmission because, funny enough, the reason why Brad had the VR GTS and the Ute at the same time as he bought the VR GTS, because he was going to rob the 6-speed gearbox out of it for the Ute, because, you know, we all know the T5s are, you know, they're not the worst thing in the world, but they're definitely not the strongest gearbox around. So you're definitely playing with fire when this thing makes like 750 Newton meters at like 2800 revs. So you can wreck some stuff if you start getting a little bit reckless with the third pedal. So that was the whole reason why he had that. So like it'd be cool to pick up a like a 6-speed transmission, or like a TKO 600 or something, like a good 5-speed for it, and then just make like, you know, 400 odd horsepower. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think so
too.
You
know, providing obviously it's got to be lowered and have wheels and stuff. Like you can't be seen foxing with anything other than that. But
can't be.
I know I want another Ute. Like I'd love to get another one and do. That's I always think, what's the next thing I want to do when I've still got tons to do on what I already have. But I think I definitely love. I've had a handful of VRVS Utes or Maloos, and I've had a turboed RB30 DET one as well, which I wish I still had that. But I'd like to do a cool Japanese 6-cylinder VS Ute or something like that. Or
I think if I was to buy it stock with 10 or 15 grand to spend,
because that doesn't go far these days.
No, it doesn't. No, but I mean, I think I almost would go down the RB30 route. If I wasn't going to stick with the 5 litre, I'd probably go down like an RB30, like kind of what you had. I'd maybe just get a rod and piston RB30, just very basic with a Jatco, and, you know, maybe like a G35 Pulsar turbo or something like that. That'd probably be your 10 to 15 grand spent, and then you'd have to put in all the labour. Either that, or if I was going to buy a 5 litre, keep it 5 litre, I think I'd be with you in just getting a Harrop blower kit and bolt it on, because it's super easy. In saying that, it's not super easy, but comparing to building a turbo kit for it,
or just building an engine.
Yeah.
Because that, you know, if it was a bit cheaper to do an engine, you'd go that way. Like building a real nice, like you could probably build a very basic, or, you know, a fairly basic 355.
But if you're building a nice 355 now, and then by the time you get a converter and this and that and everything else, like, you're blowing past 25 grand. Let's be honest.
Way past. Yeah.
So if you're looking at 10 to 15 grand, I think for simplicity and whatever, I think bolt the blower on it. I'd probably, knowing how fun that is now, the way that it is now, doing that with another, you know, probably 80 horsepower on top, man, that'd be wicked.
Yeah.
Like on a budget, essentially. That'd be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got 2 more.
All right, let's
punch them out.
Hey, fellas. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to ask the questions, and I really enjoyed your responses to the burnout questions that I asked last time in regards to McFry and his styles and stuff. Thought I would ask you what your thoughts were about the possibility to have a drag and drive event in Perth. I wonder if you thought there was any way we could have a West Australian-based event, maybe with a country town, 8th Mile on an airstrip or something like that. I see the boys from Torq, they did something, I think it was on an airfield somewhere, where they had them lining up and had an 8th Mile track. I just thought maybe a country town could sponsor it, and maybe the motor plates could get on board. And do you think that they'd get people to be into it, you know, like drivers to get into it? And what about the boys in blue, and about having drag cars on the street? So just be interested if you thought it was possible that we could have something like that, and if you thought it would be popular, if you did, you know, given the fact it's happening and seems to be happening all over the world, and it's big on the East Coast, and maybe we could do something here. Once again, thanks for giving us the platform to be able to ask you some questions about this kind of stuff, and keep up the great work. Cheers. Thanks, fellas.
It's an interesting question. So I think the possibility is definitely there if you've got someone that's got the right network of people and the resources to do it. I sort of thought a couple of years back, if we could breathe some life back into the old Collie 8th Mile, and this is when there was an 8th Mile track on the plans for the Albany Motorsports Park as well. I thought that'd be prime. You'd do Kwinana, Collie, Albany, Collie, Kwinana. Seems like a no-brainer, right? But then, unfortunately, they scrapped the 8th Mile off the Albany Motorsports Park, so I don't see that being a very viable option. The airstrip thing is also an interesting conversation because there was a dude that tried to get that off the ground. Go to Hold On Promotions, so that's Hold On Promotions. He's a WA event promoter, and he tried to get something off the ground in that regard where it was somewhere out in the wheat belt, and it was going to be somewhere like, I think it was Merredin airstrip was going to be utilised, and which, I think the Shire was pretty well behind it, and I think he was also in talks with the Wild Catcham airstrip, which was obviously where the original Race Wars was held. They held that there, and so we know that's good for motorsport, particularly if you're going to shorten it up to 8th mile or even quarter mile. I don't think you would run quarter mile on an air. Maybe you would if you had the right safety equipment and whatever, and the cars were set up for it. But I don't know what happened with that event so much. I think in a way, and this is just from the outside looking in, Hold On Promotions could probably shed more light on it, but I think they struggled to get the sponsor support, and there wasn't a strong enough network of people around it, or maybe the event promoters probably tried to take on too much and didn't want to farm it out. They kind of wanted to keep control of what the event was going to be. I think that's a problem with some events, is that people want to hold on to too much because they don't want to, what's the word I'm looking for? Compromise. They don't want to compromise on a certain essence of what they want. And I think, like I say, this is from the outside looking in, that's kind of what fizzled it out a little bit. There probably wasn't enough hands on deck to get it going. Obviously, an event like that needs a huge amount of both council support, local law enforcement support, volunteers. It's a big undertaking. Yeah, I think it's something that could happen though. Yeah. particularly out in the wheat belt, because you've got a lot of rural airstrips. They got crop dusters and all that sort of stuff that use all that kind of caper. So I think it's something that probably could happen if you had the right people with the right network and the right financial backing. Unfortunately, I don't think that's us.
No, so it's a hard one, especially because it'd be all right if we had at least one more track. That's the hard thing. We've got one pretty nice track.
We've got one world-class facility is what we've got.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you don't have much else.
Yeah. So, the only thing I've thought of is because the track itself's kind of important, but it's more the driving thing. You're not going to get a whole week's worth of drag challenge type stuff here, but you could probably do a weekend and just make it a more casual event where maybe you have the track for the weekend or a Friday and a Saturday or whatever, and you have a set location or a set route that you've got to go.
Yeah.
And then there's an event there.
Yep.
A bit of a party, a bit of a shindig or whatever.
Yep. I'd love
and then
to
you go
do.
back and, you talk your shit and all that, and then you go back and then you finish off at the same track another day.
Yep.
Doing a particular route. So you're testing the streetability of the vehicle, which is what you need, which is what it's kind of really all about.
Yeah.
It's the same track, but it's a fucking nice track. It's a nice facility, you know, so.
Yeah, I've had daydreams of an event idea of, it'd be a streetcar thing, and it'd be essentially a no prep where you'd go to Kwinana or an airstrip or whatever, but you're starting within 50 to 100 k's away from the track. What you rock up at the meet point is what you race. There's no change in tyres, there's no nothing, that. I think that would be a cool thing, but I was like, if you can get 30 to 50 cars together and then they all roll in, and as soon as you get there, it's elimination format, bang, bang, bang. And then the person at the end is King Dick, and they've got the baddest street car at that place on that day, And I'm talking bring a jerry can on your back seat, because once you get there, just top off your tank and go. You're not changing tyres, you're not doing nothing. You can drop your tyre pressure and adjust your suspension settings and do all that sort of stuff, but it's with the equipment that you've driven on the street is how you're going to race it. I reckon that'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I can't go too much into it, but a dude actually reached out that I know, and he's talking about doing an event at a certain racetrack, and he asked what my thoughts were and stuff like that. So there are people thinking it, and I said to him, right now with all this like no prep, like hype that's going on, it would be as good a chance as any to try and get something off the ground, you know. And you don't have to start out massive, as long as you're covering your costs, and you've got to make it an enjoyable event for people to go to.
If you're going to try and create an event thinking that you're going to make money on the first one, you are absolutely kidding yourself, because even if you did make $1 on it, that money has just got to be pumped straight back into the next one. You know, like you as an event organizer or as an event management company, if you're jumping on and doing that kind of thing, you got to know that first one, if it makes money, praise the Lord, hallelujah.
Yeah.
You know, you got to expect that the first one's probably going to take a hit, because there's going to be a lot of people who simply aren't going to go to the first one until they know what they're in for.
Yeah.
So they're going to watch what happens at the first one and they go, all right, yeah, no, that was sick. And then you're going to get exponential growth years after, if it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a reason why a lot of events don't happen anymore, like your Kazanats and I don't know. I'm sure there's other ones.
There's a lot of red tape. I mean, and it's not just, local council and law enforcement, but then also the venues and stuff. They've got their own red tape.
Yeah.
When it comes to a lot of tracks, don't want drifting because it can damage the race surface, or they leave the race surface dirty or whatever. And they don't want static burnouts because that's no good for the racing surface. And so you're starting to take away little bits of these events that make these events great. And then all of a sudden that event isn't that appealing anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's unfortunate.
Or at least unprofitable for the people doing it. Like I think a guy dropped in our DMs, didn't he? And he sort of, I think we spoke of something similar before, and he was saying like I think it was on the Gazanats thing maybe, like they barely, on the last one they barely
broke even.
Yeah, they barely broke even. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A hell of a lot of work. You have to, and those guys love that shit. Like that's why it made it to where it did, and they were all over the country doing it all the time. But there's a point where the juice just is not worth the squeeze, and probably some people that go to these events don't understand how much work's involved, and when they carry on and damage things or whatever, you got to deal with fuckwits in day-to-day life. So it only takes a few of them to sort of hike up the insurance costs and all that kind of thing.
And then it's not viable anymore.
Yeah. I reckon that, looking from the outside in, like you've just said, I think that's probably got a lot to do with it. I think everyone's insurances have gone up a hell of a lot, and especially with that kind of thing,
Yeah. So do I think it could happen? Yes. Do I think it will happen? I'm not sure.
I wish it would.
Me too.
Yeah.
Wait until my car's done, but
yeah,
I kind of want to take part. I don't want to be spectating all the time.
Yeah, it'd be cool to do like a ghetto no prep thing somewhere, right?
Yeah. Although even if even if there was like a crappy airstrip sort of deal, I say crappy airstrip, that's not very nice, is it? But you know what I mean.
You get good airstrip that makes a crappy drag racing.
Yeah. I'd even join in the ute, just like do the drive, make a pass, whatever, just to be a part of it and really enjoy it. I think it'd be great.
Yeah. I think it can definitely happen, but you'd need a lot of people, down to help out and support it.
Well, we got one more. Geez, this is the longest podcast we've ever done.
Wow.
We maybe almost could have made the calls a separate podcast.
We're here now.
Chuck the headphones on, mate. We'll get this last one under the belt.
G'day, guys. First time listener, long time caller. I'm relatively new to the car scene. I've loved every minute of it. I'm halfway through a build of a one-tonner with a 383. My question for you guys, have you got any advice for me? New to the car scene, new to mechanics. I've done what I can with learning off YouTube, learning off mates that are actually mechanics, learning off podcasts like yourselves have come in so handy with tips and tricks and stuff. I was wondering, have you any specific tricks specific tips for guys like me in the car scene? Thank you very much.
First of all, I've got to say my commiserations. You're never going to learn any type of stress financial hardship or heartache than you will in the car scene. Well done, mate. You've essentially taken the first step in ruining the rest of your life, but you will never...
You're not going to regret it.
Yeah, you'll never regret it. It'll be a good thing. 383 one-tonner, though.
I wonder if it's a Chev or a Holden. What do you reckon? We should get a response from you. I reckon it's got to be a Chev.
I reckon maybe it's like a... I reckon it's an old one-tonner, not a new one, and I reckon it might be a small block Chev 383. What do you reckon?
That's what I reckon too.
Yeah.
But we could be wrong. He could have a stroke LS.
That's almost right up your alley. You're a bit of a fiend for the old...
one-tonner?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was sort of... My first car I ever bought was a HZ one-tonner, but I never actually really drove it. Like, I bought it before I got my license, and I was going to build, like, a custom tray for it and do this and do that. And, you know, as a 13, 14-year-old kid, didn't really end up doing anything, but it was sweet. Aussie 4-speed, 202. Yeah. It was cool to, you know, learning to drive manual and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Very cool. I've sort of gone away from the one-tonner. Now I like what they call like the more style side. Like, I'd love one of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, all that old H-series stuff is sick. I love it.
As for advice, it's a weird one because the dynamic and the landscape is changing within the scene so much. But for me, if you're starting out, if you don't have a close circle of friends that really get it, and I mean like really get it, maybe try and reach out to a couple of local car clubs or something like that. And I know that car clubs aren't for everyone. I've been there, I've done it.
You got the T-shirt, bro.
Yep. I've been on the committee and all that sort of stuff, and I really enjoyed my time doing it. If you can find the right club with the right people in it, and obviously the people in the club change over time because people move away and they get different interests, and some people, you know, they got a short attention span. They'll buy a car and they'll be all in for 12 months, then you'll never see them again. But if you can find a good, solid, welcoming crew of people that are local to you and, you know, they're doing similar stuff, that's probably where I'd start. But I mean, the internet is the greatest free learning resource we have.
Yeah, it's just it's so hard to
decipher
the goods from the bad. There's so much for every useful bit of information. There'll be like 10 or 15 bits that just aren't what you need. So I guess you need to have a good sense of who knows what they're on about, really, and you kind of need it really depends. Like, if you're using professionals like services for things as well, probably a good bit of info is like, once you pick a guy and you're happy and you thoroughly research this person or this shop or whatever, stick with them. Like, that's probably something. Don't listen to the 75 Muppets that don't know shit from clay or have had different experiences, you know. Like, pick your guy, whether it be your engine builder or your tuner or whatever, just whatever it is. If you're going that way, pick them and then stick with them, because with everything, with especially sort of like driveline or powertrain sort of related, it's a combination of things. You can't pick the most hypo part over here, but then, you know, you've missed the ball over here because your budget hasn't allowed it or whatever. You need to sort of get a combination of what's going to work with your budget and then stick to it. And it's probably the same with any sort of theme as well. If you just need to know what you want out of the car at the end, you know. Like, people are probably not really going to pertain to what you're doing, but people, what's better, a turbo or a supercharger or an NA? You really got to know what you want out of the vehicle and how you want it to drive and what you want it to look like. Have a good think about it, get a plan, and then do your best to stick to it. You're always going to deviate. That's just human nature.
That's it.
But a lot of cars end up just abandoned projects from people that go in too hard at the start and then you can't finish it. You're better off sort of easing yourself in, you know, keep it still enjoyable than having something that's laid up for 10 years. Ask me how I know. So like, and buy the best stuff that you can as well. Like, don't get sucked into the something that's $100 cheaper, that's from overseas, that's got no warranty, and they've just copied it off the other guy and you've got no support. So
Yeah, I was going to say something similar. If you see something that's, and people use this quote all the time, basically exactly the same but half the price. If it's half the price, man, I'm 9.997 times out of 10, it's not exactly the same.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do get lucky and you find a good copy or a good variation on a budget, but 9 times out of 10, the real deal costs what it costs for a reason.
Yeah, it's hard, hey, because you, at the end of the day, everything, the most important thing that's going to dictate what you do and how you do it is your budget.
Yeah.
And I've met myself personally, even if I know that something that's been copied and it's a, like say it's like a bracket or something, I don't want to give them people my money because I know that that's the company that copies like other companies, R&D and stuff like that. I don't want to give them my money. So I also build my cars as best I can. You can't always avoid it, 100%, but, you know, stick to what you believe in as well and hold your ground. And like and you want to support good companies, and you're going to get that back with good support. Like you don't when you just get if you just go to eBay and pick the absolute cheapest thing of that thing, it might serve you well. And if you're on a super budget and that's the sort of build, and I'm no judgment here, that I get that as well, but you know, there's a better chance you're going to have dramas.
Yeah. Building a car is like baking a cake. It's a recipe, and all of those things have to be the right, you know, ratio for it to work.
Yeah, and for you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I would don't bite off too big, I think, and just keep it fun.
Yeah, agreed. Good advice. Solid advice.
I might take it myself one day. No, I do.
Righto. That's the end of our callers. Thanks heaps for listening. Like I say, longest podcast we've ever done. Really appreciate you guys for sticking through it if you've made it this far.
Yeah, it'd be a miracle if you did.
Yeah, if you'd like to support us, torqhub.com.au. You can grab yourself some merch, stickers, hats, whatever. And we will try to make sure that we don't wait so long in between next time.
That's it. Thanks for listening, guys.
Appreciate it. See ya.
See ya.